sits in the garden, in under the bright new moon, and from his fiddle he coaxes a lovely dreamy tune. I love that tune he's playing, and wished it was for me, but I know it's for the buddings way up in the cherry tree. Sure, every night they peep from in under their mother's wings to hear the silvery music his wee dark fiddle sings. And for them he's always playing, and has ne'er thought for me. For if I go out, he wanders away from the cherry tree.
Good evening to our conference delegates and international guests. Good evening to colleagues and students from New York University and the Czech Republic. Good evening to the Beckerman family and friends gathered in support. Good evening, dear Michael Beckerman. On behalf of the Society for Musicology in Ireland, I extend our traditional Céad Míle Fáilte, 100,000 welcomes to our virtual IRC-Harrison ceremony and lecture. The Harrison Medal was inaugurated by the Society for Musicology in 2004 in honour of Frank Llewellyn Harrison, an Irish musicologist who made a seminal contribution to the study of music in medieval Britain and to the study of ethnomusicology. Harrison was a graduate of Trinity College Dublin and held positions in Canada, the United States, Oxford and Amsterdam. In 2018, our award was renamed the Irish Research Council Harrison Medal in recognition of the Irish Research Council's endorsement of our work and ongoing funding of the award. From the very beginning, it's been an international medal, a recognition of excellence, of work of great importance. This year, Michael Beckerman is the very deserving recipient of our medal, which has been hard earned over a lifetime of passionate achievement, which is an inspiration to us all. Before I read the citation, I want to hand over to the Director of the Irish Research Council, Dr. Peter Browne, to say a few words. Peter, we're delighted you're here with us this evening.
Thank you, Lorraine, and I'm delighted to be here at the 19th SMI Plenary Conference, jointly held with the Irish chapter of the International Council for Traditional Music, to present the Irish Research Council Harrison Medal to a most deserving recipient, Professor Michael Beckerman. I would like to join with the President and Council of the SMI, and extending to you a Céad Míle Fáilte, albeit virtually. Yes, the SMI has been lucky enough to welcome you to Ireland in person on 2 occasions over recent years, so I'm delighted that you've already experienced the Irish welcome as it was truly meant to be. I'll say just a few brief words before Lorraine gives the citation for Professor Beckerman, and I know I join with everyone here in Ireland and elsewhere in greatly looking forward to his IRC-Harrison lecture. I want to congratulate the SMI and ICTM on putting together what looks to be a hugely stimulating and engaging plenary conference, made all the more challenging, of course, in the context of performance and other aspects by the times we are living in. It seems like only yesterday when the SMI community gathered in person without a mask in sight in the Royal Irish Academy of Music to present the last IRC-Harrison Medal. How times have changed. It is truly impressive how hard SMI has been working over the past year to continue to progress musicology scholarship, to strengthen the society, and to move events online that enable research of musicology to come together. This is so important for early career researchers in particular, whose career development has been disproportionately challenged by the disruption caused by the pandemic. Lorraine and the Council of SMI have been navigating through these challenges. I'm aware that she and fellow council members are finishing their terms shortly. I'd like to thank Lorraine for a fruitful collaboration on the IRC-Harrison Medal, and I look forward to working with the incoming president, Dr. John O'Flynn of Dublin City University. I also want to thank postgraduate scholar Brian Whitelaw for his help with the technical aspects of my participation in this virtual event. It goes without saying that the Council is delighted to be associated with the Irish Research Council Harrison Medal, particularly given its role in funding excellent research across all disciplines, including musicology. The Council's mission is to enable a vibrant research community by funding excellent researchers across all disciplines, and in doing so, supporting Ireland's social, cultural, economic and educational future. Few would have predicted even a few years ago that the world would be plunged into the grip of a pandemic, and how important the expertise that is at the core of our institutions of research has been to confronting and addressing the health, social and economic challenges the pandemic has presented. The pandemic has provided strong evidence for the importance of a broad-based research system to give us the best chance, nationally and globally, to deal with an uncertain future. The Council has a special role in funding research in the arts, humanities and social sciences, areas, of course, in which we have a very strong international reputation, but also promoting the value of research in those disciplines. We also work with policymakers, civil society and enterprise to cultivate research partnerships that promote exchange of knowledge between the academy and the external environment. I think there's a sense in which we have an opportunity to press for the broader recognition of how important the arts and humanities, not least music, is to well-being, both in normal times, but also in times of adversity, such as we are experiencing in 2021. I know music in adversity is a topic that Professor Beckerman has explored in his work, although I wouldn't want for a moment to conflate or compare the adversity we're experiencing today to the particular context for Professor Beckerman's work in this area. My overarching point, however, is that we should work together to further showcase the importance of the arts and humanities for societal well-being and the role of research within that relationship. There will be an opportunity for the research community and other stakeholders to engage on this with the forthcoming launch by Minister Simon Harris of an initiative called Creating Our Future, a national conversation on research in Ireland. On a cursory search of our awardee database, I could see that we have supported, if you forgive the pun, scores of individual research projects in the area of music since the establishment of IRCHS. And what is evident is the incredible diversity of topics and themes, from the traditional music heritage of North Dublin, to music as ritual and reconciliation in Cyprus, to innovative new ways to training primary school music teachers, to the impact of new technologies on the transmission of Irish traditional music. All excellent, internationally peer-reviewed researchers, extending the frontiers of knowledge in music and musicology. The Irish Research Council will be working hard to impress on the new Department of Further and Higher Education, Research, Innovation and Science, the importance of building and resourcing a research system around the full research career, enabling the development of research leaders across disciplines who are of international standing. And it is in that context, research leaders of international standing, that I return to the presentation of the IRC-Harrison Medal to Professor Michael Beckerman this evening. His vast experience in Czech and Jewish music is truly remarkable, even to a layman like myself. Professor Beckerman's work enables us to consider music not just as historical document, but also as a medium that conveys experiences of things past, a true language of human culture and emotion, and a comfort and solace in the darkest of times. It therefore gives me enormous pleasure to present to you, Professor Beckerman, the IRC-Harrison Medal for 2021. I would now like to hand back to Lorraine, who will deliver the citation for Professor Beckerman.
Thank you very much, Peter. I'll now read the citation. Tonight is an evening of congratulations, gratitude and celebration of a path-breaking scholar, a remarkable academic leader in Czech and Eastern European music, an archive-driven historian whose writing on Dvorak, Janacek, Martinu, Gideon Klein, Pavel and Hugo Haas, Jewish music, music in the concentration camps, has had groundbreaking impact. Unafraid to be controversial, his approach represents a number of vital challenges to musicology. These range from an interrogation of the ways in which we write about music history to a contemplation of the grey zone after Primo Levi, together with a consideration of how we think about widely diverse fields of meaning as we approach musical works, especially problematic ones. Another seminal contribution is his writing on musical form and meaning, one example of which is his theory of middles, which advances the view that middles, broadly construed, are subject to special rules and behaviours and often present things that are impossible to place on the edges. His current project, A Doctrine of One, argues that all reception of artworks is at the level of the individual, and that routinely something that might be a throwaway to one person could be the core experience for another. Author and editor of 7 books, over 200 articles, 300 lectures characteristically illustrated at the piano, another 100 studies, reports, translations, programme liner notes and reviews, and an exceptionally generous supervisor and mentor to hundreds of students and researchers across the world, Professor Beckerman is a phenomenally influential scholar. Taken as a whole, his formidable body of scholarship represents a lifetime of continual giving and engagement. His pioneering 1993 book, Dvorak and His World, published by Princeton University Press, comprises both interpretive essays and a selection of fascinating documents that bear on Dvorak's music and career. Right from the beginning, we see Beckerman, the collaborator, rallying others round to question received pieties about the composer and present a collective argument for radical reappraisal. The second part of the volume, which presents a series of newly translated documents, correspondence and reviews, illustrates an exceptional knowledge of untapped primary sources in Czech and English. This study is an indispensable guide to Dvorak's work, full of acute observations which focus the reader's attention on his music and its aesthetic potential more generally. In the early 1990s, Beckerman expanded that contribution to Czech musical culture in his landmark monograph Janacek as Theorist, published by Pendragon Press 1994, which is a reference point for anyone working in the field. This single-authored book, published near the start of his academic career, is a masterpiece of forceful argument and precise reading, which revolutionised our understanding of the nature of Janacek's artistic bequest. In addition to Janacek's activities as a composer, Beckerman presents him as a prolific literary personality whose works include not only letters, criticisms, autobiography, ethnographic and pedagogical studies, but also numerous articles dealing with music theory. Based almost entirely on the exploitation of a vast array of previously unpublished music materials outside the Czech Republic, this book displays an intellectual authority and an originality of interpretation that have characterised all his subsequent work. Beckerman took full advantage of his intimate knowledge of Janacek's archive by publishing 1 year later a volume of essays Janacek and Czech music, co-edited with Glenn Bauer, and a companion volume to his 1993 study Dvorak and His World, entitled Janacek and His World a Decade Later. In the same year, 2003, he published with W. Norton his groundbreaking monograph New Worlds of Dvorak, Searching in America for the Composer's Inner Life, which is a tour de force of erudition. This monograph explores in depth the origin of the New World Symphony and its reception by leading American critics. This is Beckerman's most substantial, but by no means latest intervention in the influence of American life and landscapes on music written by the composer. Already in 2003, we see him preoccupied with the question of the influence of African American and to a later extent Native American melodies on Dvorak's symphony, and by extension on the development of American music. Another key feature of the book is his forensic archival work, one example of which is his identification of the mysterious author of an article on African American music published in 1892 under the name of Johann Tunzer, which he proves quite conclusively was a pseudonym of Mildred J. Hill, a resident of Louisville, Kentucky, who collected African American songs, some of which Krehbiel brought to Dvorak's attention after the premiere of the New World Symphony. New Worlds of Dvorak is also the first major book to address the relationship between Dvorak's American Symphony and his projected but never completed opera based on Longfellow's Hiawatha. It's an indispensable guide not only to the New World Symphony but to Dvorak, with new and imaginative insights throughout, evidently inspired by a passionate love of his subject. The subtlety, depth and nuance of his arguments about the impact of Dvorak's agoraphobia, his insecurity because of a limited education, his relationship with his sister-in-law, all portray the composer in an entirely fresh way. It has long been recognised as an outstanding contribution to Dvorak's studies and remains a foundational text for any study of the composer. Mike has also played a formidable role in our understanding of Bohuslov Martinu, one of the most prolific composers in the 20th century, who lived for years in the United States and had many of his works premiered there. Martinu's Mysterious Accident, 2007, is a collection of 12 pioneering essays by 8 international contributors dedicated to the memory of Michael Henderson, who died in 1994 at the age of 47 while engaged in writing a biography of the composer, and whose works fill the pages of this book. Another edited collection, in fact a very recent one, which attests the broad range of Professor Beckerman's engagement with musicology, is Classical Music, Perspectives of the State of the Art, co-edited with Paul Bogosian and published by Open Book Publishers in 2021. This collection of 18 essays addresses a central concern in Beckerman's scholarship, namely the enduring value and current challenges, both economic and artistic, of classical music in the Western tradition as it has related to Asia, Europe and the United States. More than half its contributors come from outside the academic world and include artistic directors of festivals and large arts organisations, philosophers, financial managers, musicologists, composers, professional performers, neuroscientists, distinguished music critics and broadcasters, professors of arts and cultural management. Incisive, meticulous and carefully researched, this book advances bold, embracing questions on the interesting tension and ongoing problematic of what comprises classical music and how we should regard it, its position in the academy and polemical debates in past decades, the crisis in music journalism in the digital age, the thriving culture of contemporary music, the significance and responsibility of governance for the financial health and survival of large arts organisations, and a whole range of issues of values, accountability and context. This book is the culmination of a remarkable odyssey, not only of public engagement but public responsibility, and it's entirely characteristic that Mike is one of the leaders of this project. writer for the New York Times, consultant and participant in Backstage at the Lincoln Center 1993 to 99, Leonard Bernstein Scholar of Residence at the New York Philharmonic 2016 to 18, consultant for the film documentary Music in the White House 1999, author of numerous programs and documentaries for the BBC, countless appearances on Czech, German, Japanese and American radio and television, Michael Beckerman is a public musicologist of world renown. The book is timely and up to the minute, both in the issues it addresses and its open access publication. As with earlier books, the impact of this remarkable and unorthodox panoramic volume of essays will take decades to measure. One of the hallmarks of Professor Beckerman's career is curiosity-driven research, which is not a sprint but a process, engaging with musicology long and hard. Two examples will illustrate this deepening purchase of themes. In a dramatic chapter ending in New Worlds of Dvorak, with full awareness of the irony, he announces that Mildred Hill is better known as the composer of Happy Birthday, a song which has become far more famous than any music Dvorak ever wrote. He takes up this thread in an article published in 2020, Rare in a Generation of Remarkable Women, Mildred Hill, Dvorak, Black Street Cries and the Making of Happy Birthday, endorsing the importance of music history and learning from the past and influencing contemporary dialogue. A second example of the manifold ways in which he responds to music which preoccupies him also shows him to be an extraordinarily imaginative researcher. One of Mike's most cited articles in 19th century music in 1992 is an in-depth scholarly exploration of Dvorak's statement that the inner movements of the New World Symphony were studies for a larger work to be based on Longfellow's The Song of Hiawatha. Years later, we find him closely studying points of correspondence between episodes of the symphony and episodes of Longfellow's poem, and writing with Joseph Horowitz a 35-minute Hiawatha melodrama for narrator and orchestra to highlight some of the places in movements 3 and 4 where Dvorak clearly imagined textual or narrative images from this poem. Such vitality and creativity is indicated by the fact that he continues to work in a variety of fields of interests, cross-fertilising each of them with questions and insights drawn from the others. Examples of the richness and variety of his work include The World According to Roma in the Cambridge Companion to World Music 2013, Oh, the Stories We Tell, Performance, Audience and Disability in the Oxford Handbook of Music and Disability Studies 2013. In film studies, his research on Pavel Haas has led to his recent preoccupation with the films of Hugo Haas, and even more recently a fascinating study of Moravian music in the films of Jaromír Jágr. His multiple articles on music history include a study of the songs of Salomone Rossi as a search for history, a brilliant article on Janacek's visiting card, and he's the first musicologist to explore the value and efficacy of applying the notion of the grey zone to the creation of musical works and their reception. Another defining element is themes aired well ahead of their time, such as contemplation of the late style in the late 1980s in relation to Janacek's last 12 years. Professor Beckerman's combination of uncompromising critical feistiness, unusually subtle and wide-ranging musical knowledge, profound musicology, extraordinary imaginative research, and great personal generosity have won him the profound respect of his peers at home and abroad. He's not only one of the best-loved musicologists at work in the world, but also a courageous leader, always ready to nurture younger scholars, and his influence in this realm cannot be overestimated. His research associations with and honorary awards from universities and learned societies in a number of countries testify to his reputation as an international musicologist of singular versatility. He's the recipient of, and again I'm selecting, an honorary doctorate in Palacky University in 2014, which recognised the importance of his contribution to Czech studies. On home ground, the George Estabrook Distinguished Alumnus Award from Hofstra University 2012, and 2 ASCAP Deems Taylor Awards in 2004 and 6. The Order of Merit and Special Citation from the Czech Parliament 2004. He's honorary board member of the Janacek Foundation 2003, laureate of the Czech Music Council 2000, the recipient of medals of the Dvorak Society, the Martinu Society, the Janacek Medal of the Czech Ministry for Culture, and now the Irish Research Council Harrison Medal. Ireland is a small country in comparison to the United States, but we punch well above our weight in musicology, both nationally and internationally, and in our engagement with colleagues across the world. Over the years, our musicological community has been enriched by an array of stellar scholars, in which company you, Mike, are without doubt among the foremost. Our Irish Research Council Harrison Medal is a symbol of scholarly excellence, with a rigorous selection process of names nominated by Council and discussed over many months. On this occasion, it is a special joy to present this medal to someone whose participation in our Society's affairs has so enriched the work of SMI. In 2019, your spontaneity, generosity of engagement and spectacular keynote address enhanced our world to an exceptional degree, and I congratulate you warmly on the fine achievements which have brought you back here to us this evening. I know you're not fond of public praise, Mike, and I realise that I've made this event even more public by gathering international colleagues around, but I hope the sincerity of my thanks will somehow capture the depth of our appreciation of you and your work. As President of the Society for Musicology in Ireland, it's my profound privilege and pleasure to award you the Irish Research Council Harrison Medal. As we say in Irish, Cogorja sa chrilath. Congratulations from the heart.